Hello everybody, welcome back to Sophisticated Cakes by Mary. For this tutorial, I'm going to show you how I made this sculpted geometric two-tiered cake that featured airbrushing, some gold edging, and some chocolate geometric shards. So let me start by saying, if you hear a band in the background, please excuse, it's my son's high school marching band and I'm sitting outside of their practice. You gotta get your editing done when you can, right? So first what we're going to do here is I made this cake using a 6-inch cake and an 8-inch cake. So each cake had 4 layers of cake in each tier. And I am layering it up with dark chocolate ganache because when I carve, I find that the dark chocolate ganache is the best filling for me, as it does. You don't have to worry about it oozing out. When it sets, so it's not going to squish. So that's just why I like to use it whenever possible. And to get us going on the carving here, what I'm doing is I'm using some cake boards and I'm cutting them down to size. I am cutting 2 of them. Let's see if I can explain this and make it make sense. I did 2 of each and I cut them so that the corners, as you can see, fit inside of the outside edges of the cake. And what this is going to do is going to give us that geometric pattern, the alternating triangles. So I marked it on one side. I put those toothpicks in the middle of where the corners will be so that I know where I need to line up the corners for the bottom. So I flipped it over and I marked where the board needs to go on the bottom also. So those toothpicks are the middle, the peak of the triangle. So I'm just lining up the edge of the cake board on the top with the toothpick at the bottom. And I just carved out a line with my ruler so I have I work better when I have guidelines. So I knew where to cut in between. Now take your time doing this. It's easier to take more away than it is if you had carved off too much. Then you're kind of in a pickle. Then I flipped it over and I'm doing the same on the bottom. Just carving from the top down to that point. And try to make sure that you're getting the bulk out of the middle because it's easy to have them bulge in the middle. And you don't want it to do that. So try to make sure that you get that, the piece that you're cutting off completely level. Now I'm just using more of that dark chocolate ganache, which is 3 parts heavy cream to 1 part dark chocolate melted together and blended till smooth. And I'm using that as my crumb coat too. And actually there is no buttercream on this one, none whatsoever. I did not end up having to go in with the buttercream because I find that it's easier to get these geometric shapes with a ganache. Buttercream is just a little too soft sometimes and you end up having to mess with it too much. And I am only showing you how I'm ganaching the 1 tier, but I did the same on the top, and then I went back in after I chilled them and they were firm and did another thin layer on top just to kind of sharpen up the shape. And here I used just candy melts. I used royal blue candy melts and I added a little bit of black to get it a little bit more depth. And I just melted those down at 50% power for 1 minute increments until it was melted down, and just poured it onto my silicone mat, put it in the freezer for about half an hour. But actually I should back up. I let it set at room temperature for about 10 minutes till it firmed up enough that I could go in and score the marks. It's easier to cut it, have your pieces break off in even shapes if you score it ahead of time. Okay, I guess I lied. I do show you how I'm doing this final coat of ganache on the bottom tier. It's just really, really fast. Gives me a little time to explain those shards, I guess. And then you put those shards back into the freezer for about 30 minutes, 20 to 30 minutes to firm up completely. And that's when, as this tier was in the refrigerator firming up after the first coat, is when I did the shards, and then I'm just kind of alternating, giving things a chance to set up. And there's our finished bottom tier. Now, what I used here is I used a pearl sheen airbrush color in the middle of each triangle. I kind of started one way and then ended up doing it another way. I wish I'd done both tiers the way I do the top, but it's okay. I'm just going in and I am doing the blue. I mixed blue airbrush color with some black to get it that really deep shade of blue. And then I'm just going over the edges, the corners, and darkening those up, and then adding some pearl sheen in the middle so that it kind of emphasizes the carved the carved shape of the cake. And then I did the same for the top. And you'll notice that my hands get gradually bluer and bluer. It is messy. Ain't gonna lie. It is messy. Make sure you cover your surfaces. And then those shards, once I broke them into smaller pieces, I did go back and do the same thing with them. I'm sorry, I lost the footage of me breaking them into pieces. But since they're scored, all you have to do is gently put a little pressure on the scored part, and they break apart really easy. Now just set those aside. You can see them. They're behind me there. They're just drying. And I'm doweling my bottom tier and adding some buttercream and adding my top tier onto that. Now these have had time to dry. If you put them in the refrigerator, I'd put them in the refrigerator, but don't put them in there for too long because you don't want condensation to become an issue when you're dealing with airbrushing. And then I'm just using my edible gold paint, which is gold luster dust mixed with Everclear. You can use vodka, you can use lemon extract. I always am asked that question, what can you use if you don't want to use alcohol? Well, first things first, the alcohol does evaporate, so nobody's eating any alcohol, but if it's for religious reasons or just personal preference, you can also use lemon extract. It works well too, but you might have to go over areas twice. Just you get better coverage with the Everclear, and that's why I use it. So I just went over all the edges. I didn't worry about getting the lines exactly straight or even. I thought it was okay. It just added an extra touch of a little bit artistic flair. We'll call it artistic flair. Why not? To the design. And then I'm just attaching these with a little bit of ganache behind them. I just piped on a little bit of ganache and I am putting them randomly thought out, kind of both, on the cake. And look how blue my hands are. It took hours for that to wash off. I'm not kidding. And then I just used some floral wire and I twisted those. I wrapped them around rod-shaped objects like a rolling pin works really well, pencils, skewers, things like that. And just airbrushed gold on those. And just put those in there to add a final little touch. This is definitely an abstract design. It's not everybody's taste, but it's definitely eye-catching, and I really loved it. And all of that carving does take some time, so if you decide to do a design like this, give yourself plenty of time to do the carving. Don't rush it. Don't add it in a week where you have a lot of other orders. If you do this for an order, just keep that in mind when you are taking other orders, that this is going to take a little time. Oh, I almost forgot. I did go in and I added a little bit of gold splatter right where the chocolate shards are. And that's just the same gold paint. Just put it on your brush and just kind of tap it on there. You can flick it with like a toothbrush if you want to dip a toothbrush in there. That does the same thing. So there you go, guys. My geometric carved 3D abstract geometric cake. I hope you enjoyed it. And I hope you give it a try. And if you do, please share your creations with me on Instagram. I absolutely love seeing what you guys do. And I appreciate you taking the time to watch my video. Please like, subscribe, share, and do all of the things. So thank you guys so much for taking the time to watch my video. And if you'd like to watch some other videos, go ahead and click on the link to one of these other videos shown here. And if you would like to check out my other social media, I am on Facebook and Instagram under the same name, Sophisticakes by Mary. And please take the time to share, like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so that you know when I upload another video. Thank you so much, and we'll catch you on the next tutorial.